In today's episode, Lexi is alive, wired to an IV, breathing, and staring back like the funeral never happened. And across the Demera Mansion living room, Abe collapses into a breakdown as the miracle hits him in real time. One glance, one name, and years of grief snap in half. Here's how the day spiraled to this impossible moment, starting with what brought everyone to the mansion and the paper marked "Will" sitting on the table. This episode starts calm, then explodes into a major reveal. We're at the Demera Mansion, and you can feel the tension before anybody even opens their mouth. Stefano's portrait is staring down at everyone like a warning, and the whole family is gathered for the will reading with that tight, fake politeness that always means somebody's about to get destroyed. Because nobody's here to grieve, they're here to win. People are already braced for a fight over money, power, who gets what, and who gets cut out. The air is loaded with old grudges, side eyes, and that quiet Demera rage where everyone smiles while they sharpen the knife. And then, while everyone upstairs is focused on Stefano's will, something is happening under their feet. Down in a hidden basement medical setup, in the kind of secret room only this family would have, Lexi Carver wakes up. Not someone new, not a look-alike, Lexi. Her eyes snap open like she just swam up from the bottom of a nightmare, and the first thing you clock is how wrong this is. She's hooked up like a patient, like an experiment. Tubes, monitors, IV lines, proof that somebody kept her down there on purpose. And Lexi doesn't wait for help. She doesn't call out. She goes straight into survival mode. She rips the IVs out of her own arms like pain doesn't matter compared to the truth. She unplugs herself from the machines like she's refusing to stay buried.
She stumbles. She's weak. She's not supposed to be awake at all. But she is determined. And that determination is terrifying, because it means she knows she was trapped. Then Lexi forces herself into the tunnels, those hidden passageways the Demeras treat like hallways, and she moves through them alone. Every step is a fight. She's pale, shaking, dragging herself forward with pure willpower, like something in her is screaming, "Get upstairs, stop them, expose this." And upstairs, the will reading is still happening like it's just another day in the Demera circus. Until the doors shift. Until the room changes. Lexi walks in. Not announced, not escorted. Just appearing like a ghost that refuses to stay dead. And everything freezes. Every breath catches. Every conversation drops out. The air turns to ice, because the impossible is standing right there in front of them. Lexi Carver is alive.
In the way she looks at that room, exhausted, furious, focused, makes it feel like she didn't come back to reunite. She came back to blow the whole house apart. And the last thing you can think is, if Lexi was hidden in this mansion all this time, who put her there? And who in that room knew? This is where the miracle turns into a nightmare in seconds, because Abe doesn't just see Lexi alive. He sees every single year of grief ripped open all at once. Abe's whole body just freezes. His eyes lock on her like he's terrified to blink, like if he blinks, she'll disappear again. And when Lexi says his name, soft, shaky, barely even a voice, Abe is already breaking. Because that is the voice he buried. That is the woman he thought he lost forever. And now she's standing there, pale and weak, still looking like she crawled out of a nightmare. And Abe can't decide if he should run to her or if he's about to collapse right on the spot. And then Theo sees her. And Theo doesn't even try to be tough. He just falls apart because this isn't a happy reunion to him. Not yet. This is a stolen life, a stolen goodbye, a decade of pain that suddenly wasn't necessary if somebody had just told the truth. People start talking over each other immediately. Where was she? Who did this? How is this possible? And Lexi doesn't have to say much for the room to start putting the pieces together. Because there are marks on her arms, the way she's clutching at her skin like she ripped something out, the way she's swaying like she just unplugged herself from a machine. And the second the word pod hits the air, when it becomes real that Lexi wasn't gone, she was kept, everything in that room changes. Shock flips to rage so fast you can practically hear it. Because now it's not just Lexi is alive, now it's Lexi was hidden. Now it's somebody played God. And all eyes swing to EJ. EJ tries to keep his face under control, tries to act offended, tries to act like this is some insane accusation, but it's not landing. Not with Abe staring at him like he's looking at a stranger. Not with Theo shaking with anger, because Theo is doing the math in real time. If Lexi was down there, alive, then somebody made a choice. Somebody decided Abe didn't deserve the truth. Somebody decided Theo could live with a grave instead of a mother. And Abe's grief hardens into something colder. He steps toward EJ like, tell me right now you didn't know. Because if EJ knew, if EJ had even a whisper of this, then EJ didn't just keep a secret, he hijacked their lives. Theo doesn't even wait for a clean explanation. He goes straight for the gut. How long? Who helped you? How many people in this house looked us in the face and lied? And EJ does what EJ always does when the walls start closing in. He starts trying to redirect the blast. He starts throwing out names, hinting at outsiders, turning it into a game of espionage and betrayal. Like if he can make the room paranoid enough, nobody will keep their eyes on him. And you can feel him gearing up to drag Cat Green into it, or Leo Stark, or anybody he can paint as a convenient villain, so the word pod stops being attached to his name. But Chad isn't letting that happen. Chad steps in, firm, loud, not screaming, but sharp enough that the whole room has to listen. He's basically saying, no, not today. We are not throwing random people under the bus because EJ needs oxygen. Chad plants himself right in the middle of the chaos like a shield, because he can see the pattern. EJ gets cornered, EJ panics, and somebody else pays. And while Abe and Theo are still staring at Lexi like they're afraid she'll vanish again, Chad pushes the room back to the only question that matters. Who put Lexi in that basement? And who kept her there? Because EJ's smokescreen isn't going to save him if Lexi opens her mouth and names names. And the scariest part is, Lexi looks like she's about to. This episode starts calm, then explodes into a major reveal. And just when you think the room can't take one more shock, the front doors basically announce, nope, we're not done. Because right in the middle of this will-reading chaos, Tony DiMera walks back into the mansion like he owns the air in the room. And that's what makes it terrifying. Everybody else is panicking about Lexi being alive, but Tony is calm, measured, watching. The kind of calm that tells you he already knows where the power is about to land. And Anna warned him. Anna basically told him, touch Stefano's legacy and it'll curse you. But Tony doesn't come back to Salem to play it safe. He comes back when there's blood in the water. And then, like the universe is scheduling these hits on purpose, Gabby Hernandez storms in and turns the will reading into a courtroom. Gabby doesn't ease into it. She doesn't ask for anything. She slaps down handwriting evidence, and it's not some random document either. This is tied to Stefan's past, paperwork connected to old school days in London, and it's ammunition Philip Kyriakis helped dig up. The kind of proof that's supposed to end arguments, not start them. Gabby looks around that room and makes it real simple. She claims she is Stefan's legal widow, and she wants her cut of the DiMera fortune. Not later, not after the family processes the miracle. Right now, right there, in front of everybody. And you can feel the room split in two. On one side, people are still stuck on Lexi, alive, standing there like a ghost turned human, rewriting years of grief. On the other side, Gabby is forcing everyone to look at what really runs this family. Money, names, legality, ownership. Because if she's right, then the DiMera empire just got a brand new fracture line straight through its foundation. Chad is watching all of it, and you can tell he knows exactly what this means. Because it's not just Gabby demanding a check, it's Gabby demanding legitimacy. It's Gabby demanding a seat at a table that murders people for chairs. And here's where it gets even darker. Tony doesn't shut her down in public. He doesn't blow up. He doesn't humiliate her. Tony pulls her aside. Private. Quiet. Strategic. Because Tony doesn't fight battles in the living room. He wins wars in the hallway. And whatever he says to Gabby, it changes her expression immediately. Like she realizes she didn't just walk into a will reading. She walked into a negotiation with someone who can either make her untouchable or destroy her with a smile. So now Gabby's big widow claim? It's not just a demand anymore. It's the opening move in a deal. And if Tony's involved, that deal comes with a trap built in, always. And just when you're thinking, okay, fine, we've hit the peak, the mansion gets that feeling again. That feeling like something else is coming. Because word is, Dr. Wilhelm Rolf is back in Salem. And if Rolf is back, then the question isn't, how did Lexi survive? The question is, who paid for the miracle? And what are they going to demand in return? This is where the miracle stops feeling like a miracle and starts feeling like a setup. Because while everybody upstairs is still choking on the shock of Lexi standing there alive, the real reason it happened is creeping back into Salem, Dr. Wilhelm Rolf. And the second that man is in play, you already know what that means. Stasis pods, fake deaths, resurrections, and secrets that don't stay buried, no matter how deep the Demiras try to hide them. EJ is in full damage control mode right now because Lexi didn't just return. Lexi walked in like living proof that somebody kept her frozen in time. Somebody controlled the timeline. Somebody decided who got closure and who got lied to. And EJ doesn't have a clean answer for that. Not one that won't land him in handcuffs or get him torn apart by Abe and Theo. So when Rolf resurfaces, it's not some random coincidence. It's a lifeline. And it's also a threat. Because if Rolf is the one who maintained whatever kept Lexi under, then Rolf is the one holding the receipts. Rolf is the one who can say what happened, when it happened, and who signed off on it. And that's exactly why EJ can't afford to let Rolf talk to the wrong person. But while EJ is scrambling to control the Lexi fallout, Kristen is cracking in an entirely different way. Quietly, violently, and in a way nobody can spin. Kristen is being haunted. Not metaphorically. I mean, she is seeing Sophia Choi everywhere, soaked, bloody, staring at her like a ghost that refuses to move on. Every time Kristen turns a corner, it's like Sophia is right there, dragging the truth behind her like a chain. And Kristen knows why. Because Kristen didn't just get scared or lose control. Kristen attacked Sophia. She hit her with a rock. She dumped her in the river. And now that Lexi's return has the whole town talking about miracles and mad science again, Kristen is spiraling. Because if anyone can bring someone back, if anyone can find out what really happened, it's Rolf. So Kristen starts thinking the unthinkable. Does she beg Rolf for something to shut her mind up? Some serum? Some drug? Anything to stop the visions? Or does she go darker than that and ask the real question she's terrified to ask out loud? Did Sophia survive? Because if Sophia is alive, then Kristen's not being haunted by guilt. She's being warned. And the scariest part is, with Rolf back in Salem, Kristen might be only one phone call away from finding out the answer, right before Sophia finds her first. This episode starts calm, then explodes into a major reveal. Because while the Demera mansion is eating all the oxygen in Salem, the younger crowd is quietly lighting a whole different fire. It starts with Ari and Liam, and it's that kind of soft moment that feels almost safe. Almost. Ari finally lets her guard down with him. The walls come down just enough for her to admit she actually trusts him. And you can feel that slow burn tipping into something real. Liam's not playing games here. He's listening. He's steady. He's looking at Ari like she's not just Gabby's daughter. She's her own person. And that's exactly why it's doomed to get messy. Because the second this connection starts looking serious, Gabby's shadow drops right over it. Gabby has already drawn her line in the sand.
and she doesn't do gentle warnings.
She's the kind of mother who protects with her teeth out. So Liam can have all the honorable intentions in the world, but to Gabby, intentions don't matter. Risk does. And in her mind, Liam is a risk walking straight toward Ari. The pressure is immediate. Keep getting close to my daughter and you will regret it. Period. But the real explosion hits when Salem's grief gets pointed at the wrong target. Amy Choi comes charging in like a storm, and she doesn't come for answers. She comes for blood. She goes straight at Holly Jonas over Sophia's suicide, and it's not a conversation. It's an attack. Amy is raw, furious, shaking with that kind of grief that needs someone to punish, and Holly is right there in front of her, available, vulnerable, and already half destroyed by guilt. And Holly doesn't even fight back the way you'd expect. She's not smug, she's not defiant, she's drowning. Because Holly genuinely believes the awful things she said. Those messages, that cruelty, push Sophia over the edge. So when Amy comes for her, Holly just takes it. She absorbs every accusation like she deserves it. And you can see how fast guilt turns into self-hatred when the whole town starts looking at you like you're the reason someone is gone. Tate and Ari try to step in, try to explain, try to soften it, because they know this situation is spinning out of control. But none of it lands. Not when Amy has decided Holly is the villain in her story. Not when heartbreak needs a culprit. And here's the sick part, the part that makes this whole thing feel unbearable. Sophia didn't die by suicide. That's not what happened. Sophia's disappearance is tangled up in something darker, something violent, because Kristen attacked her. Kristen struck her and dumped her in the river, and now Kristen is out there unraveling while Amy is ripping into Holly like Holly is the monster. Even worse? Sophia was already playing with fire. She was planning to fake her death and frame Holly anyway. And Kristen hijacked the plan in the most brutal way possible. So now Holly is being publicly destroyed for a tragedy that isn't even the truth. Amy is pouring her grief into the wrong person, and the actual danger, the real person who knows exactly what happened to Sophia, is still walking around Salem, free. And if Amy pushes this any further, if she gets the cops involved, if she forces a real investigation, the question isn't, will Holly get punished? It's, who panics first, Kristen or Sophia, if she's still alive? Next episode, Lexi doesn't just walk back in. She comes back with an accusation. Picture that room still boiling from the will reading. Everyone already looking at EJ like the obvious target. And then Lexi points straight at him in front of everyone. Abe's grief is way too fresh to stay calm. The second she confirms even one detail about who kept her hidden, he steps in, blocks the door, and turns the whole moment into a standoff until the cops are called. But here's the twist. If you were Lexi, do you name EJ on the spot? Or stay quiet because the real mastermind is still in that mansion? If you have a different theory, drop it in the comments and subscribe for the next episode breakdown.